Welcome back to the Kim Power Stilson Show. You can join us on weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you've missed a show, you can always check us out at BYURadio.org. And you can always find out who's on the show and who's coming up on KimPowerStilson.com. We'd love for you to like our Facebook page, especially you might like to see the photos of our guests and the things that scare you this week. And again, last week was Foodie Week, so this week is things that scare you. Now we're going to go to our next guest, and we have with us two great guys that are here to talk about something that really isn't scary, but we really wanted to get them on the show. We have David Halliday, the leader of the Brigham Young University Bronies, which is on a campus or collegiate group. And we have DRWolf, who is also goes by another name, which is Brent Wilson. So they're both here in the studio with us, and we're going to talk about bronies. So that may or may not scare you, but that's what we're talking about this half of the show. Dr. Carolyn McGuire is still here with us, but David Halliday, we met in a Chevrolet station.
That's correct.
You had on a great shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that shirt. And you're like, I'm a brony.
That's right. You want me to tell them the story?
Yes, I'd love to. Hear it.
So we're at the car station, and I have this shirt, and it's a derpy shirt, and she is painted up like Rainbow Dash, and she's smiling, and it's a very happy shirt, and I like it because it represents when Derpy comes back into the show, and she's one of the favorite characters of the show.
Of what?
Of My Little Pony. Of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.
Okay, and so My Little Pony is a TV show?
That's correct. A TV show that airs on the Hub Network.
On the Hub Network. And it's been around since when?
Well, it was first made in the 1980s, and it's had a couple generations of rebirth. And this recent one was made in conjunction with Hasbro and Discovery Channel. They got this channel together. They got DHX, which is a animation studio, called in a bunch of voice actors, and called in Lauren Faust. And if you don't know Lauren Faust, she is the creator of Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So it was an awesome, they got an awesome team together, and they said, reboot this, make it amazing.
Wow. So it's kind of they gave new life to My Little Ponies.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Now, when did you get involved with My Little Ponies?
Well, I actually got involved about a year ago. About 2 years ago. I had no idea that this was going on. It started in 2010.
By this, meaning the cartoons or
the
bronies?
Cartoon, and then people liking the cartoon outside of the demographic.
So it's like a fan club for the cartoon.
Exactly. Why don't I pass over to Dr. Wolf, his experience with it.
Okay, Dr. Wolf, we want to introduce you. You're married. Very nice.
Correct,
How many kids do you have?
No kids yet.
Oh, okay, no kids yet. And you have been a member of Brony Fandom since 2012, and you are very well known on YouTube. You give webinars and do videos online.
I make reviews and dramatic readings, and I'm kind of known as the psychologist for the Brony fandom, so a variety of things.
Oh, that's so nice. And you actually just recently spoke at a convention in Baltimore. They flew you out there and paid for you to speak.
I didn't actually speak at a convention out there, but my fans actually wanted me to be there so much that they actually paid my way to go out to Baltimore. And it was a very new experience for me, honestly, having all these random people come up to me saying, hey, you're Dr. Wolf. I want to have your autograph. Can you pose for a photo? All those kind of things.
Wow, a little fame then.
And a little bit.
Okay, so where did your My Little Pony journey start?
Oh, goodness. It began when I started noticing all these fan-created projects popping up all over YouTube, and that started back in 2011.
And when you say fan-created projects, describe what you mean by that.
People making videos out of clips of the My Little Pony show and adding music or different voices or even custom animations from the ground up. And this seemed rather odd to me. I have to think this is becoming very popular, and I'm rather curious as to why. This doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But
because it's a cartoon, or why?
It's because My Little Pony has almost been exclusively for an audience of young girls since its inception. It was rather rare to find anyone outside of that demographic actually enjoying the show. And to see all these people online start to fall in love with this show, it was a bit of a new experience for me, I have to say. So after a while, I started watching the show, and I started seeing all these other fan-created content like artwork and music and stories and all kinds of things that just blew me away at how much effort people were putting into this. I thought it was fantastic. And back in 2013, in May, I decided, I want to try my hand at making some of my own videos because I actually have a lot to talk about and what makes this show so appealing. And here I am 15 months later. I've made over 260 videos, and I've amassed quite a bit of an audience over that time, and I want to do so much more.
That's wonderful. What about, so let's, for our listeners that have no idea, My Little Ponies. So maybe back here to David. Now, David, you're a student here at Brigham Young University.
That's correct.
And are you as well, Dr. Wolf?
Actually, I'm a career accountant.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But he graduated from BYU.
Okay.
That's correct, yes.
Well, congratulations on that. Well done. So you're a student here. And so tell us how, because, there's My Little Ponies, and then where did Bronies? Who coined that phrase?
Well, the best answer I can give, it's a mashup of two words, bros and ponies, bronies. So it mostly makes reference to the male fans, but it also refers to the female fans, although sometimes they like to be called Pegas sisters, a combination of Pegasus and sisters. But bronies just refers to anyone who likes the show of any age. And would you like me to tell you my story with how I got involved with it?
I'd love it.
All right. So like I said, past the 80s, my sisters had watched it. I had listened to commercials. I was not at all interested into it. And then I listened to this podcast. And this podcast is called Nobody's Listening. It's run by a man called James Kennison. And he is a child's preacher. And he runs a podcast talking about funny life stories. And that's all he does. People send in funny stories. And he retells them, does songs about them, makes jokes about them. And it's all clean stuff. I loved his work. And then I listened to this episode. We got this queued up here. Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to listen now.
Okay, so my big weekly update should make most people happy. At least, the people that love this kind of thing, and that is that I got to tell you, I was on Netflix. I'm having a hard time getting this out because I'm afraid that life will never be the same for me once I've admitted this. But there was a new television series on Netflix that I saw, and I was like, I've been hearing about it on the net for a better part of a year, and I heard that even though it's made for girls, a lot of guys, grown men, like it, and I tried it. I clicked play, and I watched my first 2 episodes of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, and I loved it. It's awesome. Okay?
Hilarious.
Have you watched it?
I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Wasn't it good? It had a good story.
They're one show. They're to be continued.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter wanted to watch it, and we watched it, and the whole time my son was rolling his eyes. It was hilarious, because there's one part where they start singing or something.
Yes.
Somebody starts singing, and I kid you not, my son goes, "Ugh, really?"
But see, that's why I love it, because they start the song and they pick on themselves. They know,
Yes,
they're
they
self-aware, and they're like, "Is she? Yes, she is."
She's doing that. Yeah.
I love that.
I chortled. I must admit.
And the part where she goes, that's a favorite time in my life.
Sirius XM 143.
So yeah, that was the part of the podcast, and I listened to it, and I was very skeptical, as you could imagine, but I trusted this guy's opinion, so I watched the episodes on YouTube by myself, and slowly but surely I got drawn in, and I said, yes, this is worth all the hype, and I love it.
Okay, so I want to stop for a minute and ask what it is. Dr. Wolf, David Hall, you both can answer. We'll take turns. Okay, you like My Little Ponies, but what about it is so appealing?
I think the best way to explain it is actually comparing it to one of the more well-known Pixar film series, Toy Story. Now, if you knew nothing about the Toy Story movies and you happen to see a poster, you might say to yourself, well, this looks like it's just for kids. I mean, look, it's bright and colorful. It's all about toys. It's obviously marketed towards children, considering, it's even lining the toy shelves at the toy store. How could any adults actually watch something like this? If you didn't know anything about Toy Story, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what you'd think of looking at just a poster of it. My Little Pony is very similar in those respects. It's bright, it's colorful, it is definitely made with toys in mind. But you look deeper into it, much like with Toy Story, you realize the characters are actually interesting. The humor is laugh out loud funny. Even the music is just so memorable, it never gets out of your head.
Great.
You realize that the people who made this current generation of My Little Pony have put so much heart and passion into their work. They wanted to create a show that, yes, is intended for children, but they wanted parents to be able to watch it with their children and not gag at the sight. And they did their job so well that even to the creator's surprise, it has garnered this following of all these adult fans all over the world. And I thought it was rather confusing at first, but that's the way it was.
So how many characters on the show?
Well, if we're talking about the main characters, there are 6 main characters, which most of the story follows, but there are a plethora of characters in the show. Princesses, smaller ones.
And they're all ponies.
And they're all pony. Well, no, there's actually other animals there too. But the majority, yeah, for convenience sake, yes, they're ponies.
Okay, and they have wings, all of them?
No, there's actually 3 different races. You have the Earth pony, which looks like typical pony. Then you also have the Pegasus, which has the wings that you mentioned. And you have the unicorns, which have horns and can use magic. And then there's also a very small race called the alicorns, and those are typically princesses, and they have both the wings and the horn.
Okay.
And they have powerful magic.
And are they all old episodes, or they have new episodes now?
Now, the mythology does draw back from the 80s, and a lot of the characters come back there, but Lauren Faust recreated this from the ground up. There's a very nice quote from her right here. She said, when she was watching the show, she loved the show. She loved playing with the things, but she was disappointed that the show didn't seem to embody her imagination. And she said, in her words, it looked like they just had endless tea parties and giggled over nothing and defeated villains by either sharing with them or crying. And what she wanted, she wanted a cartoon for girls that didn't have a puddle of smushy, cutesy-wootsy goody two-shoes. And that's what this is. I mean, you do have these girl elements in there, but it's very powerful. They have character. They're relatable characters. Anyone, male or female, can relate to one of the main characters and their struggles.
Okay, well, and so you're saying there's a nice theme to it. Like you were saying, that adults could watch with their children. Mm-hmm. It's like when my kids are watching a show, I won't say the name, Barney, with a big purple, dinosaur, right? That, I just couldn't do that day after day. But you're saying My Little Pony, an accountant by trade, right?
Indeed, that's correct.
Is finding magic in it.
I find it to be very entertaining, whether I'm watching it with kids or not.
Okay. Well, and then so where did Bronies start? I mean, this is 2 years ago. You're the president of the club at Brigham Young University. Are there clubs all over the nation?
Yeah, there's groups all over the nation. There's actually a couple websites, a dash form, I believe, where you can go and find local groups. And this is international. We have people all over. There's big populations in the UK, Germany, Russia, Chile, Argentina, places you wouldn't expect, and all over the United States. In fact, Utah has the highest per capita brony population. California and Texas have the largest population in itself, but we have per capita a very nice population. There's about 1,500 that link themselves to the Utah Bronies group, and we're all bronies from Utah.
That's so great. And so in a club, what things do you do in this club?
Well, let me tell you. In BYU Bronies, we focus on getting to know one another. It's you watch the show, and the whole theme is friendship is magic. It's supposed to show the good things of friendship. And if you're not making friends while watching the show, you're doing something wrong. And so that's why our good friend Matthew Robinson, he started this club about 2 years ago and got together with about 15 other guys, and they watch shows, they watch episodes. DRWolf and I came in about a year and a half later, and we said, you know what, this is great, but we can do so much better. We can include so many more people, we can do activities, and
I hear you raise funds, which I think is great. You're a service organization.
We do. We just recently there's actually a convention that's held up in Salt Lake. I just went to it. It's called the Crystal Mountain PonyCon. And what we did there is...
So like Comic-Con,
yeah,
but for Rainbow, My Little Pony.
Exactly.
Okay.
My Little
and
Pony
Rainbow
thing.
Dash is my sister's favorite, by the way.
She's also my favorite. That's a good choice. Yeah, but we held a booth there, and we raised some money for a children's hospital by auctioning off some of our items.
Oh, good. Some of your My Little Pony items.
Yeah.
Your collectibles?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to talk about that more when we get back. We have to go to break. This is the Kim Power-Stilson Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. We'll be right back with more of the Bronies. Welcome back to the Kim Power Stilson Show. You can always find out more about the show on KimPowerStilson.com. And don't worry, if you missed one of our shows and Things That Scare You Week, you can always go to BYURadio.org. We're talking about things that scare you and things that might scare you, and that's bronies now. Now, it has to do with My Little Pony, brothers who love My Little Pony. Is that right?
Yeah, brothers and sisters, men and women.
Okay.
Yeah.
And My Little Pony is a cartoon, but it sounded like it's more than just an average cartoon. It's a group of pony. It sounds like they come in all different shapes and sizes and colors. My sister loved My Little Pony when she was a girl, and that was every present. We got her a different My Little Pony for her collection. So we had you on things that might scare you week, but I'm just wondering, bronies. Do you get? I mean, does some people think that's strange, or does that scare some people?
Absolutely, all the time.
This is Dr. Wolf.
Yes.
He's going to speak now.
That is a question that comes up a lot. For anyone who takes the first look at this show, they're going to start scratching their heads as, why has this become so popular over the internet? I mean, it just seems so different from anything that's come across before. And I suppose the best way to explain it is the fact that it's because that it goes beyond your expectations, that it is not what you think it's going to be, that it really draws you in. Now,
well, how do you explain that to people who ask you? They say you're a brony, Dr. Wolf. What does that mean? I mean, Dr. Wolf is one of the characters on My Little Pony. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
Dr. Wolf is a character that I created.
Oh.
That has become kind of a psychologist for the brony fandom in the videos he creates. But as for My Little Pony, it's understandable that people get even a little upset, or at the very least confused, that a lot of adult fans are coming out of the woodworks over this show. And
athletes, movie stars, and there are quite a prolific list of people who are brony fans.
Indeed, yes.
That's right.
Matthew McConaughey, I heard.
Yep,
right? I saw on the internet. He's wearing a My Little Pony shirt.
And Rupert Grint, that's the guy who plays Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter movies. He also came out as a brony. Jack Black, there's a couple, you can look them up on IMDb. But yeah, there are a lot of people who really like the message of this show. And it's a response to the amount of cynicism and pessimism you see in today's world. This show, it doesn't just throw it all the way and say, we're going to hold hands and sing songs. It addresses it, but at the same time, it has a very optimistic outlook on life. And that's what I love. It's so refreshing. I can watch it, and it feels like a jacuzzi for my mind. If you enter into a jacuzzi, you feel like, that's so relaxing. It's like a jacuzzi for my mind, and I could just think, oh yeah, this is something I can really understand and really entertaining.
When you say that, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense. Okay.
So
I'm sorry.
why is that? Like, can you give me an example of something you watched or something in the show maybe that would explain that for our listeners?
Well, one of my favorite episodes, Weird Al Yankovic actually comes on, and it's about Pinkie Pie. She's the pink one, and she loves her friends, and her main thing is she does parties all the time. That is her thing and calling in life.
Yeah.
And many of us, we have something that we work really hard on, whether it's radio or a career or whatever you have. And here comes in Weird Al. Kind of, you see him as the antagonist at first. He's saying, oh, look, I'm the better party pony. I can make a better party, bigger, grander. And unfortunately, Pinkie sees this as competition, and her friends become more attached to this person. And she then has to reconcile, well, great, this thing I've been working on for my whole life. What do I do with it? She becomes depressed about it. She tries picking herself up and trying new things. And then she even tries dueling Weird Al Yankovic in a duel-off, which is very hilarious.
And is Weird Al Yankovic in this cartoon a pony as well?
He is a pony as well.
All right, got it. I was just like...
A very goofy pony, by the way.
Okay.
So if you like Weird Al Yankovic, you will love seeing him in this episode. It's actually the top-rated episode by the fandom called Pinkie Pride in the 4th season.
Okay.
And you see it at the end. She comes to this realization that she doesn't have to be the best. She can share the best with these other people who also share her talents. It's not like, oh, well, now I have to just go on and be the best in something else. No, she can, and her friends come back and reassure her, no, listen, even if you're not the best party pony, you're still our friend. And I found that very refreshing. It was a very fun episode. It was an emotional roller coaster, you could say. You've got some very high points and some low points where you really feel for her depression. And then she comes back, and she's just so happy about her friends. I mean, it's really hard for me to explain how the show...
It's like a victory. Yeah. It was like a good message. You're saying that you could relate with that dilemma, and probably it sounds like if it's that highly rated, a lot of people could.
Exactly. I mean, there was even an episode about family relations where they go and they talk about genealogy. They go on a family trip and they're singing songs, and they get to the end and they find out that someone in Ponyville is actually related to them through this distant line of family. I thought that was cool. You don't typically see that in a
cartoon.
In a cartoon, exactly.
Well, fantastic. And people like to be fans, right? I mean, how many fans would you say there are, Brony fans?
That is a hard estimate.
Last I checked, there was over 1 million worldwide, but that statistic was from last year.
Yeah, and it's apparently growing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first met you, I typed in Google, and just in those few months since I met you, it's like I had so many more returns, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's really even seemed like it's grown rapidly lately. Mm-hmm. So having a club on campus, right, while you're in college, was that to kind of it's more like a social and service kind of organization?
It is. It's driven towards social engineering. We get people together and we teach talents such as drawing and animation and music. We've had visits from Pony Firestone, and Pony Firestone is actually really good for remix. He's a remix artist. He's even got credits from Daniel Ingram, who actually does the show's work. He said, "This is really good music."
And what's his name again?
Pony Firestone.
And that's a name that he gave himself?
That's his artist name. And I mean, one of the other things people will like about this show is Hasbro and the people in DHX, they reciprocate this love for the show, and they say, hey, you like the show? Well, here's a promo related to another pop culture item, or here's something fun for you to watch. And they're always putting in more references and more fun things for people to enjoy.
And we're talking about My Little Ponies and Bronies in particular. We have David Halliday with us and DRWolf, who is actually also Brent Wilson. And you can find Dr. Wolf on YouTube, right?
That is correct.
Dr.
Yes.
Wolf channel. Okay, so we just have a few minutes left, but Bronies, it's a club. You do service. It's your fans, right? I mean, people like to be Beatles. How many fans did they have, right? It's kind of like that. You're fans, and you have a label for it. It's called Bronies. And for people listening that might want to try it out, what's the first thing that they should do?
Well, here's my suggestion. I was skeptical, and I believe everyone should go at this skeptically. But go ahead and watch it. I watched it by myself. I didn't have any social pressures or anyone saying, oh, that's girly or that's stupid, turn that off. I just watched it for what it was, and then I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, this really is something that I would like to continue watching. And so that's the recommendation I have for everyone. If you really want to get to know who Bronies are, why My Little Pony is so amazing, and why there is this big hubbub, you should go and watch it on Netflix or Dailymotion or YouTube. Find the channels, watch it by yourself, see if it interests you. If not, at least you know where we're coming from, and you can see why people would be interested. And you can have a conversation with someone. And, as far as Bronies go, we're not that scary. We may seem scary, but we love all sorts of things. So if you want to talk to us about other things, I mean, one of the great things that My Little Pony has done for me is it's opened me up to experiencing so many more things. I've gone to musicals and sporting events and concerts, and I've gone to art galleries, and I've said basically anything I had a hard opinion on that I said, no, I'm never going to do that. I've tried, and I said, okay, let me reevaluate that opinion and see if something better is out there that before I was withdrawn from doing.
Which is great. How phenomenal is that? Definitely nothing to be scared of. Okay, you have like 20 seconds to tell me your favorite My Little Pony, Dr. Wolf.
Mm-hmm. I would say that the characters that I relate to the most would be Fluttershy and Applejack and Twilight Sparkle. But if I had to pick just one, I'd probably say just a little bit more towards Fluttershy because, yeah, I'm a very shy person that after starting this YouTube channel, I've become far more social and outgoing and confident in myself and improving upon my talents, especially upon my voice work in ways that I never thought possible.
I love that. And this show is about really cool humans that, find solutions and do great good. So I love that you've come on the show today. And what website can we go visit to see this?
Right. So if you want to join us, we have activities every week. You can find us at BYU Bronies on Facebook. We have a page, a group you can
And
join.
if you're living in England or...
And if we don't care where you're living. There's 2 requirements. You can't hate Brigham Young University, and you can't hate ponies. So you can come in from wherever you are. If you're in Bangladesh, you can join BYU Bronies. We have a community that's always talking. We're always doing workshops and activities and trying to reach out to other people. And we're serious. I mean,
And what's that website?
that is, you can either BYU Bronies, you can search it on Google, or you can go onto Facebook and join the group there.
Join the group there. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this week, and not really so scary at all. Sounds like a
No,
wonderful
not at
thing.
all.
But thanks for coming on anyway. We have David Halliday and Brent Wilson, DRWolf from the Bronies, and that's about My Little Ponies. Thanks for joining us today on the Kim Power Stilson Show. We'll be back with more tomorrow.